Halloween like?
And we're live.
It's astounding.
Time is fleeting.
That's right. Here we are.
Yay, it's Charlotte and Jess. We're coming to you live from Pensacola, Florida. We are celebrating Halloween, our favorite holiday.
It is indeed.
Yeah, it's so much fun. So if you've never seen Rocky Horror Picture Show, you may wonder, what the heck are these people dressed as?
Yep.
Well, we've got Columbia here.
That's me.
And Magenta.
That's right.
We might have Riff Raft scurrying around in the area. And then I think we've got a special guest that doesn't belong to Rocky Horror, but still is a very cool dude. And yeah, so we'll see who may join us. So
hi, Tiffany. Thanks for joining in.
yeah, hope Tiffany's dressed up. Hope everybody has big Halloween plans this week.
What are your big
weekend?
plans?
So, no, I was supposed to go to New Orleans. Then I'm not going to be able to go to New Orleans, unfortunately. But I might just dress up and walk around. I mean, you can't let Halloween just go past. I mean, it's my favorite holiday. I'll probably dress up a little and do something. We'll see. We shall see. Who knows where the night shall lead?
Who knows?
Perfect. Exactly. So anyway, so hopefully everybody's dressed up. Hopefully everybody has big Halloween plans. Some of the little things going on at the shop is that we're announcing that we have our third virtual box ready. So what we're doing, and you want to tell everybody about how the virtual box, because Jessica is in charge of them, and you need to contact her.
Yes.
Or any of us, really, to
any of us
order
can take
these.
care of you, for sure. Since we started the virtual wine tastings back in March, we decided once we hit the first dozen, we were going to package those into a promo case for you so that you could go back and revisit those beautiful bottles that we had tried during the course of the first couple of virtual tastings. That's turned into promo case 2 and now promo case 3.
Yeah.
So we just released that, put it all together. It'll go out in Monday's newsletter with the full list, the total.
And the pricing. You get a larger discount on it, so you are saving money. So it's kind of neat to, number one, try some wines that maybe you missed. Or even if you saw them and you liked them, you're like, oh, well, great, let's get it at a better price. So
it's a 15% discount. So
yeah.
The first case, I just calculated the third case and it was solid, but the first case was almost $50. Same with the second. And I think the third is falling right in line with that. So
yeah, so it's really
a great discount. It's a great way to explore these wines. Maybe you did have them and want to try them again and share them with someone.
Yeah.
Well,
and what else is neat is that, like, I talked with one of our customers, somebody that used to come to the wine tastings in store and is not able to do it, and they instead are doing a lot of these online wine subscription things, which is nice, but sometimes you do want to support local or your local businesses, because I feel like, and I'm bad about buying from Amazon too, but if you don't support your local wine stores, then when you do need them, they will not be here, like Marsha's Menagerie.
Absolutely.
That's a
great
needs. So
the other costume I'm wearing this weekend is Chiquita Banana, and it will be Carmen Miranda, and I got it whenever Marsha's closed. Carmen Miranda, Chiquita Banana. And so that's a really good point,
Yeah, so support your local small businesses, but
well, and some of those wine subscriptions, it's like 4 wines for $40. It's like we can absolutely accommodate you with some beautiful everyday wines that you could take home and put on your table and enjoy today. Enjoy 4 of them today for that subscription price, and then you are supporting a local business.
Yeah,
that we're about to hit 12 years.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We'll talk about that. But so my friend that was the customer who was buying from these subscriptions said that he's also bought from he bought the first one, the second one, and hopefully I'm sure they'll be included in buying the third one. And he looks at it as his local wine club. So you can look at it as your local wine club. We also do a lot of special orders. So
So all kinds of different requests, from I have a birthday and I want to do something special for my husband, my wife, and I want to order this. We love it. To, you know, I want to stock my cellar with what my everyday, you know, what I want to drink, what I want to have in my home. And that could be a case of something that perhaps we don't have on the shelf, or certainly we've had before and just don't have right now. So those orders are great.
The third virtual box is available. Look for your emails coming out or call the store. We also have our Thanksgiving wine box. Jessica and I picked the wines on Monday.
Yes, I'm very excited.
And so I'm excited about them too. We're going to have, it's a Thanksgiving mix for everybody that will please all your family and friends for your holiday dinner. We're going to have 4 whites, bubbly, a rosé, and 6 reds. So, because people, I don't know, people are just, you know, love their reds. So, but it's going to be a great mixture, and all of them are going to go great, we think, with turkey dinner.
Definitely. Actually, there was much conversation that went into things that would pair well with it on that Thanksgiving table, obviously, and taking into consideration, you know, my grandmother that doesn't drink, that might have a little sippet of something lovely, and then other people that are ready for some delicious, you know, heavy hitter red. So we got those in. We're excited.
Yeah, it's good. And yeah, of course, they're going to be mostly value-ish price, but then of course there'll be a couple of doozies in there that are little special bottles for the holidays. So
the anticipation.
So look for that email. That'll be going out this week too. So we're going to start the virtual wine tasting. How this works is hopefully you've got your wines for tasting this week. We're doing the Ghost Block Sauvignon Blanc from Napa Valley and the Ghostrunner Red Blend from Central Coast Lodi. We'll start with white, of course. We encourage questions, so please ask us some questions. We're gonna add Fix in here in just a sec, and he's gonna have all the knowledge. We may have a little. And I see. Thanks, Tiffany, for commenting. Please feel free to comment. Everybody comment, ask questions, do what you want. This is it for tonight. So
Tiffany actually posted on her page the other day, asking somebody, what's your favorite type of wine? And it was a great conversation starter that erupted into a feed of comments from all of her friends, and, you know, getting to expose. I know she's one of our newer customers, and so we're so happy that you're tuning in today.
That's so much fun too. I follow on Facebook, it's called Wine Lovers, and it's people all across the world. And so it's really neat to see what they're drinking in Australia, what they're drinking in the UK, you know, and I'll chime in on mine too. So it's really pretty neat to share wines throughout the world. So we do have a special guest tonight. He is the god of wine.
A god of wine. Yes. Oh.
It's Mr. Fix. A god of wine and thunder. And thunder.
We need like theme music for you, sir.
I am the god of wine and thunder. It's true. I've come down from on high, from Asgard, to bring you the finest Halloween wines. I usually drink mead, but I've decided for this time, and this time only, to drink Vitis vinifera wines. So this is a very, very great privilege for you earthlings from Midgard.
That's awesome. You look great.
Absolutely. Thanks for dressing up with us. We knew exactly what we were going to be. Halloween was approaching.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And maybe Pensacola too.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, since Thor comes from the land of, not a lot of tan people like you in Florida, I have not shown much of my farmer tan, but I shall show you some of that right now.
Yes. I love the t-shirt under the Thor costume.
There you are. Just to mitigate my embarrassments with the farmer tan. Sorry.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I think you look great. So, so the first one we're going to start with tonight is they all have a spooky theme. This is the Ghost Block Sauvignon Blanc. And what I really think is the coolest thing, the story behind this, and I don't know if it's true or if it's legend, and I'll give a little synopsis and then Fix it if you can expand on it if you can. I don't know. So the owner of the winery was drinking in a bar and somebody that had been in the area for a long time, somebody local that had been there for a long time, came up and said, "Hey, so is that winery yours next to the cemetery, the Yountville Cemetery in Napa?" He's like, "Yeah, that's my spot." And the local said, "Well, you know, the ghost of George C. Yount has been seen in that vineyard, spookily walking through the vines." And he had no idea. Who knows if it's true? We think it is. But so he went back and immediately patented the term or trademarked Ghost Block.
That's brilliant.
And that's what he calls his wine. So what do you think, Fix? What do you think about that story?
I think I should just go back to Asgard. You don't even need me here today. What's really cool about, there's a lot of cool things about the winery, and that's a cool story for sure. And it's great for Halloween. And actually, some of our other fine wine boat people have done some nice Halloween wine dinners and things with Ghost Block because of that. But the other thing that's really cool about George Yount is he's one of the first people to plant grapevine in California. So he's the founder of Yountville, right? But he planted grapevines there in the 1830s, the late 1830s. So that's when a lot of grapevines were starting to get planted in California, was the 40s and 50s. We think of California as a new wine place compared to Burgundy or Bordeaux, but really they've been growing grapes there for a very, very long time. So it's not that strange for people to have a long history. So yeah, they have the Ghost Block vineyard that they have there. This is all estate wine as well. You guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
So when you look on your bottle here, I don't have the bottle in front of me, but I do have the wine. It should say estate on here somewhere, I'm guessing. But they don't produce a lot of wines. They're sourcing a lot of their own fruits and doing kind of a minimal production. So this wine is really made about 400 or 430, 440 cases per vintage. So that's not a lot at all. Any of the other ghostly wines you see out there this time of year, those are wines that are made in the probably tens of thousands of cases.
Yeah.
And they're made just around Halloween, I think, or released for Halloween. This is a year-round wine, and they have tremendous Cabernets and also Zinfandels that they have here from Napa, and really a great, great winery.
Yeah, thanks. And so I will say that you do learn a lot from a label. This label in particular has got the single vineyard. You were saying estate grown, so it is. They even have the single vineyard. It's called Morgan Lee.
Yeah, Morgan Lee.
Yeah. So it's a Morgan Lee vineyard. So it's from a single vineyard. It's got the year and the grape, 2018 Sauvignon Blanc, Yountville, Napa Valley. So it's not even just in Napa Valley. It's saying specifically Yountville, which is super cool. It's always going to have the alcohol level on the label. So that's always something good. Sometimes I feel like people come in and they're like, "Oh, that wine just gave me a headache, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, well, it was 15% alcohol, and you probably drink it like a 13.5% alcohol, which this is 13.5% alcohol, which is standard. Sometimes you don't realize that you're drinking something that maybe has a higher alcohol level.
Right.
This one actually has 1,400 cases produced on the label, which is pretty, that's super small production, and it's always nice when they put something like that on there.
Oh, did they up that now? Does it say cases or bottles? What does it say there?
It says 1,400 cases.
Okay, all right. So that's up from before, I think. Okay.
Yeah, I like these. I like bottles that tell you good details, like Morgan Lee Vineyard surrounds our family home in Yountville. The single vineyard Sauvignon Blanc was barrel aged 9 months. Sur Lee, we'll talk about that. Bright aromas unfold into rich, round textures from our family table to yours. Enjoy. So, I mean, it's got a lot of good information. A lot of wines don't. Wines don't always have such good information, but it's a good place to first kind of go when you're unfamiliar with the wine and see kind of even if you don't know exactly what all the stuff means, it can give you some hints to maybe you've had something from Yountville that you liked before, or maybe that you've had something that was done Sur Lee, and you're like, wow, I think I like that. So so that's always kind of neat too.
And one of the things that I learned in this year, and especially when we hit on for your birthday, and we talked about champagnes and champagne houses and the number of bottles produced, in the millions. Same of what you just said, Fix, of it, around Halloween, they produce these spooky wines that just come out at this time frame just to sell because of the holiday. I love seeing the number of bottles or cases produced on the label. I enjoy and seeing that single vineyard, or them identifying that it is family, a family vineyard, and just having from our family table to yours, and knowing that it is that limited production. I don't think people really understand.
Well, I think that's one of the themes that's kind of it's gone through our series here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I think I remember my math was there's 6-pack cases, so I think my math was a little off there, but either way, so there's a lot more cases than I thought because they're 6-packs, right? But anyway, the great thing about these guys putting everything on the label, which is totally unlike like what you pick up in an average supermarket wine. I hate to use that term, but this is not a wine you get in the supermarket. Those wines don't really say anything. They might just not even be specific, like you guys have said, to a specific town, even to a specific county like Napa or Napa Valley. They're just going to say California. And that's what a lot of people end up drinking, is a lot of wines that just say California on them. And that's for a variety of reasons, but it's nice to be able to know exactly what you have here and exactly how the winemaking is done. And more of the people who are family-owned wineries are doing that more and more, because that's what everybody who's watching wants. They want to know what's going into their bottle.
Yeah.
They care. Right. They care about the winemaking because they know now more of what that winemaking means for taste and for the environment.
So I want to get into the production a little bit, but first, while we're drinking our wine, I didn't tell anybody else this when we kind of pulling an audible on you, but we prepare our wine with candy since it's Halloween. So we got to we were thinking fruity wine would probably go with this, with this nice white. I think I'm going to go ahead and just try a little and then try the wine while we talk about, Fix, maybe you can talk about the fact that this wine is Sur Lee.
Yeah, so as people will know as they're trying the wine, and another portion of this wine that the nose and also the flavor that you're going to get as well is from the fact that there's barrel fermentation here. So in an oak barrel starting the fermentation. And then, like we said, aging it Sur Lee. So when you have yeast in your fermentation vessel, traditionally speaking, yeast is going to stop performing. It's going to die. Oh. We can bring it back with the hammer if we have to, but the yeast will then precipitate to the bottom, and then typically a lot of people will then pour off that wine into another vessel, and then get rid of that spent yeast. Now, on a lot of white wines, we don't want to do that traditionally. For a lot of different wines in France, predominantly, we want to keep those yeast cells in there, and then give them a little stir. You can use your hammer if you can fit it in the barrel. Easy. I can make my hammer smaller because I am a god, but I prefer it large. Anyway, but you can then do something called bâtonnage, which is really just means you have a stick. Bâton, like bâton rouge, is a stick, and you use that bâton to stir the yeast up to give the wine more of that texture. So the yeast cells are going to impart some more textural elements to the wine, and you stir it up every once in a while to get, I know this is probably messing with everybody, stir it up every once in a while to make sure you're getting contact with all of the wine. And that adds a little bit of, as people will note on this wine, a little bit of the slightly creamier texture without this wine needing to be aged in oak for a long time. And actually portions of this wine are in oak and portions are not. So this is a wine that has a little bit of that oak texture and flavor, but then they blend back in some from stainless steel as well to kind of retain the freshness and the acidity. And I think that's really a lovely way to do it. It's kind of a nice way to blend like a Bordeaux style Sauvignon Blanc with a Loire Sauvignon Blanc or something.
So that's interesting. So that's the technical aspect of that. And thank you. I just tried the 2 different Starburst with the with this, and the first one I thought was lovely, more strawberry flavored, and it went well. We were hoping to get some lemon. Lemon, I think, would go with this well as well.
Yes.
The second
if the
one,
Starburst executives are watching, we are very displeased with the new bag not having yellow Starburst in it.
yes, thank you though.
Thank you.
We needed more tropical fruit, I think, and the second one was cherry, and I'd say that was probably not a good pairing for me. But when you're at home and maybe you are buying some Halloween candy, I hope you'll have some Halloween candy around your house, whether or not you have trick-or-treaters. Get some Halloween candy. Keep the candy business in. This is the big time of their year, so.
This might be really good with some of the weird Halloween candies that you're going to get, or that I used to get when I was a kid that I hated and didn't want to eat. And maybe there's a lady in your neighborhood who's 75 who's going to hand out bit of honeys.
I was just going to say bit of honey.
This might be really good with bit of honey, or maybe sugar daddies or sugar babies, like one of those things.
Those are
Kind of
awesome.
caramely, the little caramely thing.
Yeah.
Werther's.
Yeah, Werther's. Because caramel and this wine, I think, would
They
go
have a
kind of nicely
chewy
together.
Werther.
Yeah.
Also, because Halloween, everybody likes to a lot of times order pizza. At least, I don't know. I'm from New York, and a lot of times if you were just going to be not going out or handing out candy, you'd order pizza or whatever. This would actually be cool with like a white cheese, like a white sauce pizza, like a chicken and spinach kind of thing, or maybe like if you get wings that aren't buffalo style, but like which is sacrilege to me, but if you get wings that are like the lemon pepper or like the Asian flavored wings, this would be really good with like a semi-spicy sort of maybe Asian fusion kind of chicken wing too.
So,
if you're hanging out at home and kind of watching scary movies and handing out candy.
I'm going to ask our viewers a question, and then while maybe hopefully they're thinking about it and posing some answers, we can talk about a little more of the food pairing, because I do have something to say about that too. But question is, so this is labeled Sauvignon Blanc, but it's got a tiny little bit of something else in it. Does anybody know what that something else is? Maybe gives it a little rounder feel to it, a little heavier feel than a typical Sauvignon Blanc, which can be super light and crisp. So hopefully we'll get some people asking that. We're going to probably in November have a trivia wine tasting. And so maybe we'll get a little people thinking trivia. So yeah.
Oh, you do have the 2018 in front of you, do you not?
Yes.
Okay. I don't think this one has the other stuff in it.
Oh, it doesn't?
I don't think so. I don't know. You might be thinking of the 2019. I think that's where our production numbers came a little askew there too.
Never mind.
I'm not sure.
If you were going to add something.
I might be wrong. I might be wrong. I have to. You know what? Okay. I'll circle back and I'll say this: if somebody who's watching can tell me what would traditionally be blended with Sauvignon Blanc to add more roundness and texture, the store will provide a bottle of wine for them. How's that?
Oh shit! Sorry.
Via store.
Yes. Thank you. So challenge accepted.
Yeah, get on it. Come on, people. Let's go.
But I would say what this wine is, it is a little, probably because it's barrel fermented, it is a heavier style of Sauvignon Blanc, and it does go with heavier foods as well. But sometimes it's just hard to figure out, what am I going to pair with pesto? What am I going to pair with, some of the things, the white pizza or some of those kind of things. And I do think this is something that, while it's white, it's got a heavier aspect to it that could also, you don't want really to go into the red, but you don't want something super light. I think this, and you don't want Chardonnay, you're kind of like trying to figure something out. I think this is a good one for that.
this is perfect for somebody that doesn't like Chardonnay, but you're serving a food that is probably, also a good Chardonnay food. Let's say you had some chicken with like a potato gratin or something like that. That's kind of rich, and Chardonnay might be good with that. But this would also be good with something like a cheesy potatoy thing because it is richer, but it has the acid to cut through some of the fat, but also has the backbone to hold up to it. So it's really good. It's a really good wine for that. And I like that you said that about things that are tough to pair with, like pesto.
Yeah.
Pesto can be something that's tough to pair with, and then most people when they are thinking about like the pizza thing, like you said, and they're thinking, oh, Pinot Grigio, it's Italian, I should get Pinot Grigio. Well, not a lot of people like some Pinot Grigio because they might be a little too thin, a little too, just reserved in their style, but this has a little more bombast to it, just a little bit more complexity. Well, maybe not bombast, but complexity.
When you said pizza, I'm sorry to interrupt you. When you said pizza, my first thought was the pesto vecchio at Ozone's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's a solid, delicious, amazing crust, amazing pie that it's built on.
And also for like Thanksgiving too, you could do this really great. I know we're doing a different Thanksgiving thing, but if somebody wants to do something separate from that, because I think this is, I don't know if this is priced in that same area of some of the wines we're doing on there, but this could be also another great little throw-in option for somebody if they want something like this for Thanksgiving, because this would be really great with like almost all the food. And I don't know if anybody's had like gratined asparagus, but this would be awesome with gratined asparagus. And asparagus is one of the toughest things. Is one of the toughest things to pair food with.
Sure.
Wine with, I mean.
Yeah, agreed. So Carol Moore is asking, what about cheese pairing? So what occurred to me that I made this week was my favorite dish in the entire world is a goat cheese pasta that I got in France, and I've been craving it forever. So I decided to make my take on it. So a goat cheese pasta, I think, would be, if you're looking for a cheese pairing, goat cheese, because in Sancerre, they make goat cheese and they make Sauvignon Blanc. So what grows together goes together.
Right.
That's where I would go with that for sure with the cheese. And then we have PM Davy has answered the question. Simeon, you're correct, PM Davy.
You are so good.
Simeon.
I got something for you, Pam. It's a hammer. Just kidding. I'll get something for you here. Stay tuned next week, Pam. Thank you for chiming in. I will say about cheese pairing. I do a lot of food and wine pairing. Some people maybe watching wine dinners at here or Papa Pinot or Alice's or a lot of the places that are around town. A lot of times we might do cheese pours. We might do something cheesy. Like a lot of times the move for most people when they're entertaining friends is to have red wine with like cheese or charcuterie type play. I think if you start opening up more white wine cheese boards, you're going to be pleasantly surprised at some of the reactions you get from the combinations you get. In a lot of ways, really great white wines are better with cheese than the red wines because you don't have to match certain forceful natures together.
Yeah.
A lot of times a lot of people are in open Cabernet, Zinfandel, Merlot, whatever it may be, Syrah, Patron. And you need some certain cheeses for that. You need some fatty cheeses. Other cheeses, you can go a different route. A nuttier cheese, a drier cheese, something that if you're having nuts and things like that. So try doing cheese pairing at home and really investigate how that changes. I was eating brie the other day at home because we fancy. We were in but I had some brie and I was like, I can have some pork or something with this brie or something like really dark and red. But I don't know. Chablis. And actually it's really, really good with it. It was something about that Chablis was still kind of good and Chardonnay and kind of like a fuller body, but it wasn't oak. So the richness from the cheese and the wine balance themselves together. So try more white wines with cheese, I guess is the moral of my
I could see that. I could see that for sure. And a lot of things that also are on a cheese board, like olives and fruits and stuff, maybe don't pair so well with red. So, I mean, I see definitely whites pairing more so with everything that's on the cheese board, not just the cheese.
Yeah.
Or if you want to do like a really cool Portuguese, Spanish kind of thing, you could, slide in like some sardines, some of the cool sardines, or canned,
Now
really
you're
nice
talking.
olive oil, olive oil marinated tunas that you can get.
Yes.
And those would be great with white wine. That's the thing. Like your cheese board doesn't have to just be salami and cheese. Like let's get into think about tapas style to get that kind of stuff.
So I had a delicious. One of my favorite wine boards or charcuteries in the area is the wine bar on Palafox. And we had a huge one the other night. We were celebrating with some girlfriends. Carol Moore should have been there. It was some friends of ours. We were celebrating a good thing. Anyway, they have those big beans. What are they called? It's the
Italian green beans.
Not the green beans. The big fat white beans. Big fat white beans is what I call them, and they're
not kidney beans.
And they're in olive. And they're in an oil base.
They're kidney beans.
They're not kidney because that's red. They're white beans in like an olive oil. Maybe if Ian's listening, which he's not, I'm sure.
It's not fava, right?
Fava.
No.
I don't think they're fava. Aren't fava green?
No.
I don't know what color fava are, but anyway, they're beautiful.
Let's just keep guessing beans, though. I think that
lupinis? Are they lupinis?
What?
Is that the one? Lupini beans? Is that the one I'm thinking of? Lupini?
I don't know. Google it, y'all.
I know what you're talking about. The wine.
I'm from Asgard. We don't have beans in Asgard. We have smoked fish and meat.
Yeah, totally. They're white beans and olive oil.
To me, the cheese. I love obviously the cheese is on a cheese board like that. But to me, all the accoutrement that goes with it.
Yeah, that's what makes
the
it
pickled
fun.
green
Oh, I
beans
like all
and
that.
the accoutrement.
Yes. Throw a little smoked salmon on there.
Yeah.
Who's hungry?
Well, I didn't know we had one from Yale.
They're not round. So let's move along to the Ghost Runner. So if everybody's ready for your red
butter beans, you might be right.
Butter beans, they're not butter beans, but they are that shape of a butter bean, but they're big fat. Maybe cannelloni beans. I don't know. But anyway,
I might need to hand her the wine to drink.
Beans and olive oil. Let's Google that.
And olive oil, and they're delicious. So the next one we're doing is the Ghost Runner Ungrafted Red. And what I find the most interesting about this, it also is what'd you say?
Gigantes?
Oh, I don't know. What I find most interesting about this wine, it's also not one that is seasonal. This is what they do. And most importantly, this is the only one they make. That's crazy. This is it. This is the only one they make. It's a wonderful red blend. And so hopefully I got this right. Zen and Petit Syrah fix.
Yes. Since I am God, I can actually have two glasses at the same time and drink them simultaneously.
Double fisting. So,
in Asgard, we just call that drinking. That's
right. So it's Ungrafted Red. So hope everybody's opened theirs up. And it's Zen and Petit Syrah blend, which is super popular and trendy right now, I would say. I could name a couple others that I won't since we're featuring this one. But if you like this style, come in the store and I'll tell you some other ones that have this blend or similar blends that you would like as well.
I'll name some we've had here before. Robert Biale, Trace Sabores.
I was going to say the Porcano.
Thank you.
Those are fine by me.
Yeah.
But I'm going to share my screen here. I'm going to show everybody kind of something interesting here that maybe, they might want to see. I don't know. Maybe.
Let's do it.
No, don't do that one. Wait.
We don't want to get caught in the celluloid jam.
No, don't I don't even know what that means.
I was like, how many Rocky Horror quotes can we use?
That sounds scary. But anyway, can you guys see that? Can you see the screen there?
Science fiction.
There's your we have your map.
All right, so I'm looking at. Oh, I might have. Okay, so is a little cool site that I think is really neat if you want to learn about like the really small individual areas of California wine.
Yeah.
Because I was talking about this with, you remember we were talking about with Ron Edwards a couple of weeks ago about, he mentioned Australian wine and how people would always say, Australian wine is this. Okay, but also it's a continent, right? That has very disparate and growing regions that are very specific to their climate, their terroir, all of those things.
Yeah.
So I want people to think about that about California when we're talking about this wine, because as you can see, and we'll scroll in a little bit more if I can, I'm not a technical person. I like to just drink wine. But you can see here, if you can see my little thumb, can you see my thumb? And this thumb? You see Napa's over here.
Yeah.
So we were starting kind of in Napa and in Yountville, and then we're going kind of east, southeast to Lodi. And that's where these wines come from. If everybody can see that. Can everybody see that?
So inland and hot.
Inland, definitely warm, yeah. It's Central Valley, so you're talking about, you have a lot more mountainous and sort of hills and things like that in Napa and in the surrounding areas, depending on where you are, of course. And in Lodi, you see also here we have the influence from water as well, a lot of water, which is not common to large parts of Napa or Sonoma, or certain parts of Sonoma. So I wanted people to just understand that this is, and the reason why I mention that is because, and I'm going to stop my screen. People out there have probably had a lot of Lodi wine, and they just didn't really realize it.
Yeah.
There's 100,000 acres, I think, under vine in Lodi. That's an incredible amount of acreage to vine, and that is far and away much greater than Napa Valley. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
I want people to understand that. First, how special having a Napa Valley wine can be, because there's not a lot of area there to make wine.
That's why it's so expensive.
Exactly. Yeah, like Burgundy or something like that. Secondly, you probably had a lot of Lodi wine. You probably had Lodi wine. There's probably a lot of Lodi wine you've had from a wine that I'm not going to mention any of the names, but they have lots of funky labels, and they're in every store you can find, and they just say California on them, and they probably have a lot of fruit from Lodi.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to denigrate this wine. That's just, I just want to show people kind of what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
The cool thing about Lodi also is that there's a lot of older vines here. They're still there. So I'm going to show you also a cool older vine picture here to show people what that kind of looks like. Can we see that?
Hold up.
We see that there?
There you go.
So you see a lot of in Lodi. You see a lot of these, and this wine has Zinfandel, Petit Syrah, and Syrah in it. Those are the three grapes that are here.
On the same tree?
No. I'm talking about in the bottle.
It has what?
Oh, okay. It
In
has
the
Syrah. Will you say that again? We couldn't hear you.
Ghostrunner has Syrah, Petit Syrah, and Zinfandel.
Oh, okay.
But I'm showing you some old vines here that are in Lodi. This is a 100-plus-year-old, potentially Zinfandel vine.
Yeah, that's cool.
So what's really cool about Lodi is, yeah, it is a really big growing region.
Oh, hey, it's just us.
And we've lost
Hopefully
Thor. He got
Fix will
called
be back,
to duty, and so I'm sure he'll be back in just a moment.
Yeah.
This wine is Zin. So Pam, this wine, the Ghostrunner Ungrafted Red, is Zinfandel and Petit Syrah.
And Syrah. Is it?
This one, the 2018 just says Zinfandel and
Syrah 2018?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Their tech sheet just says Zin and Petit Syrah.
But Fix is informing us that it has Syrah as well. So let's bring him back in.
Yeah, it should have all three.
Okay.
And actually in previous years, I believe they've actually blended in some other wines in there as well. I forget if it was Mataro or Carignan or something like that. But like I was saying, the great thing about Lodi is that there are a lot of old vines there of Zinfandel. Petit Syrah is really interesting. I don't know if anybody is familiar with that grape here. I don't know if we've done a whole Petit Syrah wine yet.
Probably not. I don't think I know we haven't done one. Maybe he's blended in some of the ones that we did earlier
the
on.
the
It can be a little scary to some people because it is, they think, as Bob Biale said to me several times over the last few years, he said, Petit Syrah is neither petite nor Syrah. So it's very different from the Syrah grape, even though it is, even though it's part of its parentage as far as a crossbreed is Syrah.
You keep mentioning Robert Biale, and I just want to say, if you're a Robert Biale fan, we are doing that in our Thanksgiving box. What? So that's going to be one of the higher end ones that we put in there. So, and Robert Biale is awesome.
I know. I was like,
Bob has been here several times, right?
That name, and
he was here, and I didn't know anything about that first and foremost, even though I am a god, so maybe I did. But I think Bob was here in the store in February, right?
Yeah. He came in. Oh my God.
It was so much fun. Yeah. And he's been here 2 years in a row every February. He comes around Valentine's Day. I don't know why.
He's super cool. He's so cool. I mean, he like lives in downtown Napa and is just like super down to earth. And I'm like, but you're Robert Biale. And he's like, yeah, well, I'm a man. That makes a good wine.
So this is a side note, but that was my interaction. I met Jack Nicholson.
Really?
When I was a teenager, and he was just like that.
Man, I would have been fawning all over him.
So I met him in New York when he was filming As Good as It Gets with Helen Hunt. And I was
old then. I still
stumbling out of the dance studio. He was old. I was 13, and I still was stumbling. And I stumbled out of the dance studio at Joffrey Ballet in New York City, and all the other dancers are behind me. We're on a lunch break, and they were filming the movie. The film crew was like, stop. And I look up, and it's Jack Nicholson. Well, I started crying. And he said, girl, why are you crying? And I said, well, you're Jack Nicholson. And he said, so? And I was just like, oh my God, he's a human. So yeah, it's interesting to have those interactions.
Cool.
He's like, hey, stop crying. It's just me, Jack. All right?
Yeah.
Relax. Have a smoke.
Interesting tidbit of information. That film, it wasn't always called As Good as It Gets. It was called Old Friends when they were filming it. Who knows? I don't know.
That makes no sense.
No sense. As Good as It Gets.
As Good as It Gets.
A far better title.
Yeah.
Anyway, we digress.
Well, like, okay, here's another. Okay, so does anybody know what the original name to Yesterday was by the Beatles?
For what?
Not Josh.
Yesterday?
You can't answer that. Yesterday by the Beatles. Anybody know?
No, but don't tell us. Let's get people to guess. We're pitching our trivia.
You have to answer it within 30 seconds because you can't Google this. See, that's the problem.
Yeah, that's right.
You know,
we're gonna have challenge rules for our
honor code here. Okay, honor code. You know, let's go, people. Come on.
You're right. Who can Google it faster is not fun of a game. So we'll figure out that whole trivia thing. We're not sure how that's gonna work.
Yes,
so.
right. Stay tuned for that potentially. Right.
Definitely.
Yeah. So go ahead and tell us because everybody's Googling it now. What was the original name for Yesterday? Fix.
Are you asking me?
Yeah. Well, tell us before.
Scrambled eggs.
Oh, yeah.
The name of the song was Scrambled Eggs.
You know what? When you said that, I did know that. So.
I think that's because Paul wrote it in the morning, like looking at some scrambled eggs, or came up with the melody or the lyric. Now, I'm not going to claim the exact story about it, but I think it was because he wrote it in the morning after just eating or was looking at some scrambled eggs or something.
Okay. Whatever you say.
I mean, nothing in that song. I mean, or maybe he pictured the man thinking about his, his unrequited or long lost love over some scrambled eggs. I mean, I don't know.
Well,
that's not romantic to me,
Sure, we'll go with that. Sure.
Scrambled eggs are not a romantic food. Let's just put it that way.
A breakfast made by anybody else is a romantic food. I disagree. Just saying.
Wait, Carol's talking.
Write that down.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. We'll have to chat about that, Carol. Carol said she met Jack Nicholson too. So I love a good celebrity encounter.
Jack's watching tonight too, and he's just bored. He's like watching some wine stuff. He's like, "Hey, Carol, remember that? It was great. Had so much fun."
So back to the Ghost Runner,
Yes.
Ungrafted Red. Why do you know why they call it Ungrafted Red? What does that mean? Is there a story behind that? I don't know.
Well, I have to claim some ignorance to that because I believe if it is correct, they're using some ungrafted grape vines, and if they're old enough that they are from old Zinfandel vines, they could be or would be ungrafted. And at that point, since they're 100 years old, they're yeah. I mean, if they're 65, 1965, I mean, they could be pre-phylloxera. There could be some pre-phylloxera vines.
I was going to say, did phylloxera hit Lodi?
Phylloxera hit, I think, every wine growing region really on Earth.
Yeah.
And at that parallel. So, you know, I believe that's where some of that is coming from, but I can't claim that for sure. We'd have to email Larry, who's the winemaker, and kind of find out.
So I was going to say something about Larry Levin. That's the winemaker. He has got a crazy history. Mount Veeder wines. My favorite Quintessa wines. He's worked for Vendavi and Ravenswood, which Ravenswood was the first winery I ever went to as, I want to say a young girl, but you know, as of age. But I mean, he's got an incredible pedigree.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Estancia. I think he was at Estancia as well. These are some names I remember from back in the early 2000s when they were starting to get famous, you know. Franciscan.
So all the top wineries. And I mean, Quintessa, I mean, like, oh, that's my favorite. That's one of the first ones I ever heard about biodynamic wines. So I don't know if they follow any kind of organic practices or not, but
not that I know of on all of their vineyards. I can't claim that. I don't know 100%, but I know that Ghost Block does follow organic principles. The first one, I don't think we didn't touch on that, but that is part of what they do at Ghost Block. But the other thing that was really interesting when we think about Ravenswood, I think a lot of people who are familiar with older Ravenswood from back, you know.
What was his name? Oh my God. The dude that owned it forever and then sold out.
Peterson. Yeah, I can't think of his last. I can't think of it.
Me neither. It's on the tip of my tongue, but.
I never sold the wines, but you know, I think Morgan Peterson is his son who owns Bedrock. Who makes Bedrock wines. But Ravenswood, I think, is a little bit in limbo right now as a winery. They got bought by Gallo or somebody like that a few years ago, or sold to Gallo, and it disappeared.
It was one of those places I went. Like I said, it was the first winery I ever went to out in California. We just stumbled upon it, and it was so cool. And then we went back the next year and it had been sold to some big company. And it just, you know, it wasn't, you know, they had like barbecues and fun stuff to do. And then when it's sold, it got, you know, t-shirts
Joel
thank you. Joel Peterson. Ding, 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 ding. So we do have some candy to pair with this. We grabbed chocolates. So if you have any chocolate in the house, I don't know. I'm looking at Mr. Goodbar that's got peanuts. And then I'm looking at, you know, I love dark chocolate, but I think that this one might be better suited to a milk chocolate because it's got a little fruitiness to it. Let's
try it. I'm going to have the dark right now.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to go with, I'll try the.
You want to try Crackle?
I'll try the Crackle.
Crackle's fun. I'm going to do
Snap, Crackle, Pop.
Mr. Goodbar, which has got the peanuts in it. We shall see. Who eats Crackle? I mean, like, does anybody like buy Crackle?
No, it just came in the like.
There's no such thing as like a regular Crackle bar,
right?
There probably is. There's this. I mean, you can get a Willy Wonka bar. You can get a scrumbly-umptious.
You can get a whole Mr. Goodbar, can't you? Can't you get a whole Mr. Goodbar? Doesn't that exist? Have you ever seen a Crackle bar that size?
I think so.
Josh says yes, but.
We should also do this in the notes here too. Any of the what's one of somebody's favorite weirdest candy, or just candy you don't see that you only tend to get on Halloween? What do you guys think? And you can't say Bit of Honey or Mary Jane. It's got to be something. I mean, those are only on Halloween. You got to say something that still does exist in the real world other than on Halloween.
Milky Way.
Milky Ways are in every cookout line.
Yeah, but not if you don't eat candy all the time.
I don't eat candy.
Well, neither do I, but I still know you can get Milky Way anytime you want one.
I will tell you, 2 weeks ago, I hosted a beautiful wedding for Carissa and Hunter. Congratulations, lovers.
Guys.
And they had at their rehearsal dinner a caramel apple station.
Oh,
that was like these little mini apples, and
that's
you skewered them, and it had all the accoutrement. My favorite word of the night.
Yourself?
You could
that's so
skewer
cute.
them, dip them in the caramel, sprinkle them with all the goodness that you wanted. If you wanted peanuts on them, or if you wanted, I just
I think
heavily
I
dipped
had
mine in
caramel.
caramel.
I would have double dipped in caramel.
I might have done
Maybe
that.
triple dip.
I didn't triple dip.
As somebody who worked weddings,
In
and
COVID times, don't triple dip.
as somebody who booked and worked weddings for probably 10 years, I salute anybody who had to work that wedding that had a caramel apple station to clean up or set up, because that was probably one of the most difficult things you could possibly do for a wedding. Kudos to any of those people.
Yes, absolutely. Kudos to Culinary Productions. Thank you so much.
Carol says licorice. You don't eat licorice? You don't see licorice around during, Twizzlers or anything?
Carol Moore just said licorice.
I don't eat licorice.
I'll give you mine. It's chunky bar. Have you had a chunky bar recently?
I don't know what chunky
Smarties.
Smarties.
Chunky?
Those always come in. I love the random candy. It's like we were talking about this earlier. It's the chip bag. You have the chip bag with all the heavy hitters that everybody wants. You want the Doritos. You want the Lay's. You want the whatever, the Funyuns.
No, I was gonna say the little
No
crunchy orange things.
Munchos.
Oh, yeah.
No munchos.
What are those called?
I don't know what those are called.
Crunchy orange.
What are
things.
they called?
What are the crunchy orange things called?
Winter dots?
No, with the dots. Smarties with the dots. I think that just means that candy melted and was pre-cured. But anywho, the Halloween candy always have a couple of really good ones. Milky Way would be in it. Certainly Cat, Smarties, Kit Kat. But then you get like the random candies that they don't.
Whoppers.
Yeah.
The randos that we will smite with the hammer of the gods.
I used to.
They shan't ever make their way into one of our Halloween bags ever again.
So let's all talk about. I had the Mr. Good bar, which was chocolate. I'd say milk chocolate with peanuts, and I tried it with this, and I thought it was a good pairing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So how was
the Kraken?
Kraken?
The Kraken. Ooh, even better, the Kraken.
Kraken, I think, is
Yes. Release the Kraken.
rice rum. That actually I don't know. But Crackle is Rice Krispie treats and milk chocolate.
And was it good?
It was delicious. Yeah.
Okay. How was the dark chocolate?
So I like the dark chocolate. Well, I love dark chocolate, but I like it with this because this is kind of a full-bodied, rich, kind of nice berry, a little bit more viscous wine. And I've always felt that, dark chocolate has that little bit of a drying factor to it.
Yeah.
More on the finish. So I felt like this was a good pairing with that because this has a little bit more of that riper berry fullness that can help to kind of balance out that little bit of dryness from, because this has tannin, but this is not like a hugely tannic wine. This doesn't make you go dry on the corners of your mouth like a maybe a Cabernet would or something like that.
Well, I'll let you know because I'm going to try it with the dark chocolate right now too because that's my favorite.
But I would say in a perfect world, this is a really good barbecue wine, man. It's got a little smoky. It's got a little smokiness to it, which I think is something that you get. I think if we're going to talk about blind tasting, now we just did some blind tastings here at the store a couple times. If you were to taste this wine, you taste a little bit of that smoke.
Yeah.
That tells you a little bit more about kind of where it's coming from in Lodi, because there are some wines in Lodi that tend to show a little bit of that, slightly smokier factor to them. Not all of them. It's not indicative of the whole region. But there are some wines that show a little bit of that smoke. So if you were taking this wine, you could, and you're thinking, oh, I think this is California. I think you'd lean more towards, that.
I think this wine would go with a lot of medium heavy dishes. I mean, you could pair it with a steak, but it's more aligned, I think, to pizza or barbecue or tacos or lasagna. It's more medium style. And see what Richard Jensen said. What did he say?
Hi, Dad. Is there a wine with smoky taste that doesn't have the driest of finish?
Well, I think this one is.
This one's probably in that.
It's very dry.
It's not very a smoky taste that doesn't have a dry finish. This probably would be right in line with that for sure.
I was going to say this has a good amount of acid to it, which is kind of surprising. But I think if you went to a Syrah wine from the Rhone Valley, maybe something like Northern Rhone that has more Syrah in it, that has that little, it sometimes has this like kind of bacony, fatty kind of flavor with a little touch of smoke on it. That might be a fun one to try if you want something like that. They will still be dry, but maybe not as tannic. So that might be a good way to sort of straddle that. Or some Shiraz from Australia, depending on where it's from.
Yeah. There's a lot of variations in Shiraz, and I believe we did the Shiraz tasting in this third box. So if you're interested in Shiraz, I think the third box has a couple of those.
It does. Yeah.
So, which is
but great
delicious.
question. This one, I would say that this one still does have a smoky element in it. It's got, you pick up that, yes, Shiraz, S-H-I-R.
He says how do you spell it, and then he spells it exactly correctly.
Correct. And the Rhone Valley is in France.
And he spelled Rhone exactly correctly.
Will you clarify that for me?
I love these Jensens. These Jensens are quite a family as far as what I'm hearing, and I love them all. They're so much fun.
So Shiraz, you say Shiraz, I say Syrah. I mean, so if you're looking in the Rhone region, it's not going to be called Shiraz. It's going to be called Syrah. Same grape as Shiraz. So
well, so we have some you know, when they brought the grapes, I believe that the grapes originally maybe came from the Near East, and they had like this, you know, name of Shiraz or Shiraz or something like that. And then when they came to Australia, they were from the cutting or the clone that was originally from Persia, and so that's kind of how the name sort of evolved into being Shiraz there.
Yeah.
It's not really wrong. It's actually just a different nomenclature for the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's not like I hate to use the word bastardization. It's not that kind of thing. It's just a different name, really.
So you have Syrah.
I am a good speller.
Yes, Syrah is S-Y.
He says right. Shiraz is Persian. Thank you.
And then Shiraz.
I want to hang out with you, Richard.
Syrah. There are three ways to spell it, right? Syrah, Shiraz, and is there another?
I think Sarong. Isn't that a thing that goes around?
Thank you.
I was like,
just kidding.
Thank you, Vix.
Right.
When we leave Asgard and we go to the place that you call, Naples, we wear the sarong. We wear the sarong.
what is he saying?
Yes. Let's do it. You teach me wine, I teach you tequila.
Oh, Lord. Okay. Now you know.
Okay.
Definitely.
All
right, Rich. Okay, Rich. Let's just take it down for a second here, Rich. All right. Like, we carry some Haas Brothers tequila at Winebow, and I'm going to tell you right now, it's the best tequila portfolio in the United States, bar none.
Yeah, you guys should have a conversation.
It ain't cheap, but we got it. You come to Pensacola, I will hook you up, Richard.
I can't sell it, but I can drink it, and I can probably still drink it in the store on the show. So maybe we'll add a little tequila for some fun next week, maybe. Who knows?
Should I do the dance? All right.
So I was totally in love with Pee-wee Herman. Don't tell anybody. He's my secret crush.
He's hysterical. And
I know. Who doesn't love Pee-wee Herman?
Those of you that know me know that I have a beautiful 3-year-old. And one of the movies that we watched during Hurricane Sally was Pee-wee Herman, and she was captivated by it. I was like so amused that she would sit for that. But
like I said, Pee-wee Herman is my my crush. I'm really fussy.
Oh my goodness.
I'm totally in love with him.
Well, what are we doing next week?
So next week we've got our super. I can't even.
Dun, 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 dun.
It's our 12th anniversary wine tasting.
So exciting.
Unfortunately, you can't be here with us. So we're going to do it online, but do a virtual tasting. In the past, we've had such great times. So and we've done some giveaways and we've done some fun stuff like that. So we are going to let you know. We'll probably be doing some giveaways. I'm not sure exactly how we'll do that, but we'll figure it out. So please watch for the giveaways. We will also be doing promos all weekend long, so look out for those. And the wines that we're going to be doing are my favorite wine, my favorite champagne, and probably my favorite wine is La Manille. So La Manille is from the area in Champagne that Krug is from, actually, but it's a fraction of the cost. It's still, on up there for Champagne. I mean, so I won't say any names except for I will be like VC.
Some of them come in yellow labels.
Thank you. Yellow labels that are, ridiculously priced. That sometimes we sell there, so I can't say too much about it. But ridiculously priced.
But there's so many other good ones.
And
available.
this is like such better quality for such a lower price firm.
Well, I don't know. Is Krug all from Manille? Is it all from the same village? Is it all okay? It's not all Grand. It's not all Grand Cru.
Clos de Manille is like a little area in the Krug area. So Clos just means it's like a walled area.
Vineyard,
Walled vineyard in the La Manille area. And so Krug Clos de Manille, I mean, it's like $1,000 bottle. Something like that.
We're gonna have a whole nice presentation kind of talking about Manille and what makes it unique. But I will say this right now. This is all Grand Cru fruit in both of these bottles, right? So we have, do you have the bottles there to show? Or we have a non-vintage bottle, which is your great celebratory, great bottle to have. And then we also have I think by the magic of television, we will have 2 bottles to show you.
We do have the 2 bottles, and I will also say...
And I will make sure it is done.
I will also say that the prices for what you're getting, I mean, it's champagne. You're not going to spend under, $50 for a champagne. For a real champagne, of course, bubblies and sparkling wines from different areas.
Yeah, Prosecco,
cost different prices, but what we're going to feature is the non-vintage, which is still very nice, and then the vintage, which is not a lot more. And I think Jessica's checking prices right now. She's running. So here they are.
No, and the thing is, with these 2 wines, we're talking, I want to really illustrate, the value to everybody, because we're doing 2 wines on a wine tasting that are a little bit more, obviously, than we've done on some of the other tastings.
Maybe don't buy them both. I would, though, because I'll tell you one thing, 1 bottle of champagne is not enough, 2 is just right. But the non-vintage is $45, which, like I said, you will pay a lot more than that for something that is half the quality. And then the Grand Cru Vintage 2012 is $55. Still less than some non-vintage champagnes. So
less than very a large portion of some really good non-vintage champagne. And the thing is, these are all Grand Cru vineyards. These are the premier vineyards in this village of Champagne.
And they're my favorite.
If you were to get a Grand Cru wine from Burgundy, you're going to be paying at least, I would say, $200 for a Grand Cru Burgundy. Maybe even upwards of $600, $800, $1,000 for a Grand Cru Burgundy. So not only are they Grand Cru wines, they're also Blanc de Blanc wines. They're 100% Blanc de Blanc wines.
I forgot to say that. That's
These
true.
2 wines, they do a rosé, but the majority of their production is Blanc de Blanc Grand Cru wine. So because of that, I behoove you in your research to join us next weekend. Find a Grand Cru Blanc de Blanc wine from Champagne, from Manille.
You're not gonna.
It ain't gonna happen.
You won't.
And if you do, you can have my hammer, and I will become not a god or a demigod. I will become a human.
Well, and the point is, they are great prices.
Okay to be human.
They are wonderful prices, and that's maybe what drew me to them initially. But the fact is, they are so delicious, so heavy, not, I don't say heavy, more yeasty, like that Krugy kind of thing that I like. I mean, they're delicious wines. So my favorite. That's why we're doing it for the 12th anniversary tasting.
Of course.
And we'll have Olivier, who is with the winery. He's a sleepyhead, so he can't join us from France because it'll be midnight. But he's done a presentation for us, and so we're gonna have this lovely presentation directly from him.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. And I'm excited just to share knowledge of information about Blanc de Blanc versus
Blanc de Noir.
Blanc de Noir, because that was again something I learned. I've learned a lot this year.
And we'll talk a little bit about how champagne is made too. Yeah. I think
the process why that's important and so fascinating. Just to go back, we had a question come in from Pam, one of our customers. Thank you so much for supporting us every week. The prices, we did not note those on tonight's wine, which I always say what they are.
Yeah.
The Ghost Block Sauvignon Blanc we have in the shop for $25 a bottle. And then the Ghostrunner Ungrafted Red is only $14 a bottle.
Yeah. Great prices.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Which for that Sauvignon Blanc that at 25 is beautiful, but 14.
Yeah. So, all right. So, folks, we'll see you next week. We're gonna have we're gonna have some promos. We're gonna have some giveaways. It's gonna be our big 12th anniversary tasting. So, thank you for joining us.
Yep.
And we'll see you fixed next week. All right. So you guys, so it's been fun.
It has been fun.
Just a couple of things.
You are very lucky to be invited to Frank's Laboratory. Just so
some people look at their left hand.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yes. Anyway, watch Rocky Horror this weekend. It's our favorite, obviously, and maybe we'll have a little PinsCon thing. We're hoping this year. We'll see. We'll see where we go from there. But yeah. Order your boxes. We've got the virtual box 3, and we've got the Thanksgiving box as well. So if you want to get on those, go ahead and order them. You can always wait till the last minute, but don't wait too long.
Yeah, it's already November 1, so you probably, if you're gonna have friends and family over for Thanksgiving,
honestly,
plan for it. Go ahead and get it. We're gonna order it as well. Oh, yeah. So we got to get it in house. So just let us know if you need it. And good night, my friends. Thank you.
Thanks. Happy Halloween.